Hey there, I'm Harry Entens, and today we're counting down the top 8 groups that are still holding strong for Trump's GOP, and we're going to do so using pure data, baby. And at the end, we're going to have a little bit of bonus for you. But without further ado, let's start off with group number 8. We are talking about white evangelicals. Of course, they are a very important part of the GOP coalition. And take a look at their choice for the election back in October of 2024 when it was Harris versus Trump. Trump is getting 71% of their vote, according to a Fox News poll back in October of 2024. And look at where we are now. We're talking about the 2026 race for Congress. Republicans getting a very similar share. We're talking about 69% of the vote among white evangelicals. So very similar to what we saw back in 2024. But it doesn't just end there, baby. What we're talking about as well, when we're talking about the core GOP groups, how about those who self-identify as Republicans, baby? Look at this. I mean, this is support. This is what we're talking about. We're talking about 92%. That is the share of the vote that House Republicans are getting right now among GOP voters. That's basically the same, baby. That's basically the same as Trump was getting back in October of 2024 when he was getting 94%. This is well within the margin of error. The bottom line is this: for all that talk about Republicans abandoning Trump and abandoning the GOP, it simply put does not hold when you match up the GOP's running for the House against the Democrats running for the House of Representatives. Now, another group that I just think is so interesting, because this is a group that is actually going Democratic. But what we saw was Democrats did very poorly, at least historically speaking, among black voters back in 2024. Kamala Harris was leading amongst them in October of 2024 by 59 points. And guess what? Although Democrats are winning them, but it's only by a slightly wider margin. Only a slightly wider margin, 62 points, compared to Kamala Harris back in October of 2024. So what we're essentially seeing is Democrats did historically poorly, for the worst in a generation among black voters back in 2024. And it does not seem like they're recovering all that much ground. So this is the 6th group that we're looking at. What about group number 5? I feel like Casey Kasem. And coming in at number 5, what are we talking about? How about white women? This is a very key group. This is a swing vote. And take a look at the choice for the election among white women. In October of 2024, Trump was getting 51% of that vote. Look at this. White women basically are staying the same. There hasn't been much of a shift at this point in terms of the vote for Congress. Look at this. House Republicans getting 49% of that vote. Again, this is well within the margin of error. Very little movement. When you can count on one hand, you know it's little movement. 1, 2, maybe the slightest bit towards the Dems, but Republicans still very much in the game with white women, who, of course, are such an important part of the electorate. So this is group number 5. What about group number 4? All right. How about voters making above $50,000 income? This is a very important group in the electorate. This is the majority of voters in the electorate. Take a look here. You thought 2 points was a lot of movement? How about 1 point in terms of movement? Back in October of 2024, Donald Trump was getting 51% of that vote. Today, look at this. House Republicans, basically the same. We're talking about 50%. And of course, income and class has become such a big dividing line in our politics these days. And when you see Republicans holding strong with this group, those making above $50,000 in income, and they, of course, make up the vast majority of voters, this is why Republicans are still very much in the game when it comes to the congressional elections come 2026. Now, this is group number 5. What about group number 4? Well, when we're talking about the majority of voters, for all of the talk, oftentimes we break it down. We look at black voters, we look at Hispanic voters, but white voters still make up the clear majority of voters in the electorate. And what we see here is Republicans are winning among white voters. They're winning among white voters. They're winning by 11 points when it comes to the 2026 race for Congress. Now, Trump won them by 15, or was leading amongst them by 15 back in 2024, but 11, 15, this is the type of movement that is really sort of emblematic of what we're seeing. Maybe Democrats doing slightly better, but overall Republicans are more than holding their own when it comes to a group that makes up the clear majority of voters. Okay, this is group number 3. Well, let's enter into group number 2. Group number 2, this is so important. What about age? Older voters. All the time we talk, the youth. Ooh, la, 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 la. We all care about what's new and fresh. but what's been there for a while is a stable voting bloc. Older voters are what ultimately, or almost ultimately, always determine elections. So take a look at those among age 45 and older. In November of 2024, what do we see? We saw Trump winning that vote by 6 points. Look at where we are now. Republicans are still winning this huge chunk of voters. And of course, in midterm elections, older voters actually make up an even larger percentage of the electorate than they do in presidential elections. And what we see here is Republicans ahead by 3 points. Again, this is well within any margin of error. Republicans holding strong, holding their own amongst a group of voters that will make up the clear majority of voters come November. But without further ado, we've counted down 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and coming in at number 1, what about seniors? Choice among seniors. Look at this. In October of 2024, Donald Trump was getting 49% of the senior vote. That is age 65 and older. What are we talking about now? Well, we're talking about, get this. You thought 1 point was a lot of movement? You thought 2 points was a lot of movement? Of course, I'm just kidding. It's very little movement. 0 points. That's no movement at all, baby. That's no movement at all. What we're seeing right here is House Republicans holding their own amongst a very key group in the electorate who, of course, will make up an even larger share come this November than they did 2 Novembers ago back in 2024. Now, this is my countdown from 8 to 1. But what about the bonus? I was promised you a bonus. We're going to talk bonus, baby. We're going to talk bonus. You know, immigration. Immigration, of course, such an important part of the Donald Trump message back in 2024, 2020, 2016. The GOP lead on immigration for all of the actions that have occurred over the last year and change of the Trump administration. Look at this. Back in February of 2023, before Trump got into office, Republicans held a 10-point lead on which party was more trusted in immigration. Last year in July, it was 6 points. Now, get this. It's 8 points. It's 8 points according to Fox News. There's simply been no real movement here. Republicans are holding on a key issue for them. And therefore, it should not be much of a surprise that Donald Trump is very much holding on when it comes to border security. Look at this. Trump's approval rating on border security, approve of Trump on border security. You know, a little bit over a year ago, he was at 56%. Look at where he is now. He's at 53%. Still, the clear majority of Americans approve of the job that Donald Trump is doing when it comes to border security. So we've ranked the list. We've gone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, but in the reverse order. We've given you 2 little bonus things going on here. So I think the real question here is, what do you want to hear from me next? Leave a comment in the comment section, and we'll keep our eye on all of these as we head into the 2026 midterm elections.